the metaphors that get used here are so interesting in terms of thinking about wood and bats and
yeah, baseball bat, a plant in the Amazon.
That's such a good analogy. The Amazon plant is not so bad.
No, but it seems that there's a difference between a product of nature. I went back because I was really interested in the early language from Jefferson forward. And this is, you know, as Americans, we believe deeply in patents and they're very important. And on the other hand, when we think that, if I'm correct, that some large percentage of the human genome is currently under patent, it's not just the BRCA genes that we're talking about here, right?
That's a small amount, actually.
Well, I think
it's a small amount.
It's significant for the writers I've worked with in the volume who have genetic mutations for 16 different kinds of conditions. These things matter. And I think that we all feel that there's something that's distinctive about being what is called a product of nature, is different from nature that's been transformed.
I think that's a fundamental point, and that was part of oral arguments, is that we're separating products of nature, taking a leaf off of a tree, chewing it, swallowing it, distinguishing that from a natural product which has been transformed by ingenuity and is truly a new product. And what Myriad is claiming is that the act of isolation transforms our human DNA into a new product. And that's basically the argument. You know, and Myriad actually was pushed by Justice Kagan to take their argument to the extreme, and I would say to the absurd, which is Myriad did say, you know, when pushed by Justice Kagan, yes, human chromosomes would be patentable. Yes, a piece of the liver that was removed would be patentable, according to Myriad.
Yeah,
so we can see how far. Let's just say, the problem is
sometimes you get pushed into things you don't want to say.
And, yeah, so sure. And you can see how far Myriad is willing to go with their argument. I want to say one more thing, which is to your point about the extent of human gene patents. You know, there was a paper that came out a couple of weeks ago that said something like 40% of the human gene is now patented. What I want to say about that is many of those patents are held by people and organizations that are committed to open source genomics. I think if you talk to the average person would think, well, if 40% of my genome is patented, I seem to be doing just fine. You know, and what they don't realize is that what we see in this case with the human breast cancer gene,
that's a great point.
We see how bad patents can get. And so what we see is a worst case scenario where Myriad has locked up access to a human gene in a way that is really putting their profits before patients. And this is a worst case scenario of what can happen if we allow human gene patents.
But the fact of the matter is, if Yale University was doing this test, do you really think they would be offering the test to people in rural Kentucky? They wouldn't, because that's not their bailiwick. This Myriad, purely for the profit motive, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying they're altruistic, but Myriad has enabled this test to be available, not looking at the glass half empty, but to millions of women throughout the country in ways that no academic institution would ever do.